And I've had some different experiences with that. I've had some amazing experiences. I had a guy from South Africa, noticed that he saw me drop it. He said, "What is that?"
Well, what's that?
I explained it to him, so he started calling it a gratitude rock.
Gratitude rock.
2 weeks later, I got an email from him, from South Africa. And he said, "My son is dying from a rare disease. It's a type of hepatitis." He said, "Would you send me 3 gratitude rocks?" Now, they're just rocks I found off the street, you know, so I said, "Sure." I had to make sure that the rocks were very special. And so I went out to the stream, looked, picked out the right rocks, and sent them off to him. 4 or 5 months later, I get an email from him. He said, "My son's better. He's doing terrific." And he said, "But you need to know something." He says, "We've sold over 1,000 rocks at $10 a piece as gratitude rocks, and we've raised all this money for charity. Thank you very much." And so it's very important to be in an attitude of gratitude, as I call it.
Another thing that I would suggest that you do right now to turn your life around, and this is so huge that I can't find the words to describe just how powerful this can be for you.
I took the visualization process from the Apollo program and instituted it during the 1980s and 90s into the Olympic program. And it was called visual motor rehearsal. When you visualize, then you materialize. And the interesting thing about the mind is we took Olympic athletes and then hooked them up to sophisticated biofeedback equipment and had them run their event only in their mind. Incredibly, the same muscles fired in the same sequence when they were running the race in their mind as when they were running it on the track. How could this be? Because the mind can't distinguish whether you're really doing it or whether it's just a practice. I think if you've been there in the mind, you'll go there in the body.
When you're visualizing, when you've got that picture playing out in your mind, always and only dwell upon the end result. Here's an example. Look at the back of your hands right now. Really, look at the back of your hands. The color of your skin, the freckles, the blood vessels, the rings, the fingernails, the fake fingernails. Take in all those details right before you close your eyes. And then see those hands, your fingers, wrapping around the steering wheel of your brand new car.
This is such a holographic experience, so real in this moment, that you don't even feel like you need the car because it feels like you already have it.
It's the feeling that really creates the attraction, not just the picture or the thought. And I think for a lot of people, they think, well, if I think positive thoughts, or if I visualize having what I want, that'll be enough. But if you're doing that and still not feeling abundant or feeling, you know, loving and joyful, then it doesn't, from my mind, really create the power of the attraction.
This is where the secret actually moves into action.
You put yourself in the feeling place of really being in that car, not, oh, I wish I could get that car, or someday I'll have that car, because that's a very definite feeling associated with that. It's not in the now, it's not, you know, it's in the future. If you stay in that feeling, it will always be in the future.
Feel the joy, feel the happiness, no matter how silly it seems in that dark and quiet room, and you're going, woohoo! Do it! A lot of people will say, you know, come on, do I have to do that? How bad do you want change?
Now that feeling and that inner seeing will begin to be an open doorway through which the power of the universe will begin to express.
Our job is not to figure out the how. The how will show up out of the commitment and the belief in the what.
The hows are the domain of the universe. It always knows the shortest, quickest, fastest, most harmonious way between you and your dream.
If you turn it over to the universe, you will be surprised and dazzled by what is delivered to you. This is where magic and miracles happen. Well, I would say you want to do this virtually daily, but my disclaimer is this should never be a chore. What's really bottom line importance here to the whole secret is feeling good. You want to feel exhilarated by this whole process. You want to be high, happy, in tune as much as possible.
The only difference between people who live in this way, who live in the magic of life, and those who don't, is that the people who live in the magic of life have habituated ways of being. They've made a habit of using the law of attraction, and magic happens with them because they remember to use it. They use it all the time, not just as a one-time event.
People hold that for a while, and they're really a champion at it. And they say, you know what, I'm fired up, I saw this program, and I'm going to change my life. And yet, you know, results aren't showing, and beneath the surface, it's just about ready to break through. And someone will look at the surface results and go, this stuff doesn't work. And you know what? The universe says, your wish is my command. And it goes down.
You know, knowing the law of attraction, I wanted to really put it to use and to see if it was, what would happen. And in 1995, I started to create something called a vision board, where I take something that I would want to achieve, or something that I want to attract, like a car or a watch or the soulmate of my dreams, and I'd put a picture of what I wanted up on this board called the vision board. And every day I would sit in my office and I would look up at this board and I would start to visualize. I would really get into the state of having already acquired it. And I was getting ready to move as we put all the furniture, all the boxes put into storage. And I made 3 different moves over a period of 5 years. And then I ended up in California and bought this house, renovated it for a year, and then had all the stuff brought from my former home 5 years earlier. One morning, about 7:30 in the morning, my son comes into my office, and one of the boxes that was sealed for 5 years was right at the doorstep. And my son, Keenan, was sitting on the box, banging away at the box, and I said, sweetheart, will you please stop me? I'm doing some work here. And he says,
what's in the boxes, Daddy?
And I said, well, honey, those are my vision boards.
What's a vision board?
I said, well, it's where I put all my goals up. I cut them out and I put all my goals up as something that I want to achieve in my life. And of course, at 5.5 years old, he didn't understand it. So I said, sweetie, let me just show you, because that'll be the easiest way to do it. And so I cut the box open. And when I pulled up the vision boards, there was a picture on there of a home that I was visualizing 5 years earlier. And what was shocking to me was we were living in that house, not a house like it. I had bought my dream home, renovated it, and didn't even know it. But I looked at that house, I started to cry because I was just blown away.
Why are you crying?
Honey, I finally understand how the law of attraction works. I finally understand the power of visualization. I finally understand everything that I've read, everything that I've worked with my whole life, the way I've built companies. It worked for my home as well. And I bought our dream home and didn't even know it.
Decide what you want. Believe you can have it, believe you deserve it, and believe it's possible for you. And then close your eyes every day for several minutes and visualize having what you already want and feeling the feelings of already having it. Come out of that and focus on what you're grateful for already. And really enjoy it, okay? And then go into your day and release it to the universe and trust that the universe will figure out how to manifest it. No, the secret was definitely a real transformation for me, because I grew up in a family where my dad was very negative, thought that rich people were people that had ripped everyone off, thought that anyone who had money, must have deceived somebody. And so I grew up with a lot of beliefs about money, that if you had it, it made you bad. Only evil people have money. And, money doesn't grow on trees. That was a big one. Who do you think I am, Rockefeller? That was one of his favorite phrases. So I grew up truly believing that life was difficult, that it was hard, you had to struggle. And it was only when I met W. Clement Stone that I literally began to shift my life.
Whatever the mind of man can conceive and achieve.
When I was working with Stone, he said, I want you to set a goal that's so big that if you achieved it, it would blow your mind. And you would know it's only because of what I've taught you that you would have achieved this goal. Well, at the time, I was making about $8,000 a year. And for some reason, I wanted something that was really measurable. So I said, I want to make $100,000 in a year. Now, I had no idea how I could do that. I saw no strategy, no possibility, but I just said, I'm going to declare that, I'm going to believe it, I'm going to act as if it's true, and release it. And so I did that. And one of the things he taught me was every day to close your eyes and visualize the goal as if it's already achieved. And I had actually made a $100,000 bill that I put on the ceiling. So the first thing I'd see when I woke up, I'd look up and there it was, and it would remind me that this was my intention. And then I would close my eyes and visualize having this $100,000 a year lifestyle. And interestingly enough, nothing major happened for about 30 days. You know, I didn't have any great breakthrough ideas, no one was offering me more money. And all of a sudden, I was in the shower, it was about 4 weeks into it, and I had a $100,000 idea. It just came right into my head. I had a book I had written, and I said, if I could sell 400,000 copies of my book at a quarter each, that'd be $100,000. Now, the book was there, but I never had this thought. And one of the secrets, I think, is that when you have inspired thought, you have to trust it and you have to act on it. Now, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how I was going to sell 400,000 copies. We'd never done that. And then I saw the National Enquirer at the supermarket. I had seen that millions of times, and it was just background. And all of a sudden, it jumped out of me as foreground, and I thought, wow, if readers knew about my book, certainly 400,000 people would go out and buy it. And about 6 weeks later, I gave a talk at Hunter College in New York to 600 teachers, and this lady comes up at the end and she says,
that was a great talk. I'd like to interview you. Let me give you my card.
And I said, who do you write for?
I'm a freelancer, but I sell most of my stuff to the National Enquirer.